Right now, your brain is hiding something from you. Not in theory, not as an idea. In real time, there's a gap in your vision, an actual blind spot where no information exists. No light, no color, no detail. And yet, you don't see it because your brain fills it in before you ever notice. And that's just the beginning. Every second, your mind is cutting out noise, rewriting what you remember, predicting what will happen next, and quietly deciding things before you're even aware of them. What you experience as reality is not raw input. It's an edited version, a constructed model designed to feel smooth, stable, and continuous even when it isn't. Over the next few minutes, you'll see how these hidden processes work together. Not as random glitches, but as a system built to protect you. And once you see it clearly, your perception of reality doesn't just change. It starts to feel engineered. Your eyes are not showing you everything. In fact, part of what you see doesn't exist at all. Each eye has a blind spot where the optic nerve exits the retina. In that exact location, there are no photoreceptors, no way to detect light or detail. Logically, you should see a hole in your vision at all times, but you don't. Because your brain instantly fills in the missing information using surrounding patterns, colors, and context. It doesn't ask permission. It doesn't notify you. It simply replaces absence with assumption. At the same time, your eyes are constantly jumping in rapid movements called saccades. These movements happen several times per second, briefly disrupting incoming visual data. Instead of showing you the blur, your brain removes it. It cuts, stitches, and stabilizes, assembling fragments into a seamless stream. The result feels continuous and accurate, but it isn't. This editing process is aggressive. If nothing stands out as important, your brain assumes stability and smooths over inconsistencies. Entire visual changes can occur without you noticing, simply because they don't trigger attention. What you experience is not a live feed. It's a curated version, compressed, corrected, and optimized for efficiency. Behind the scenes, reality is being rewritten constantly. The feeling of making a decision is not the beginning of the process, it's the end of it. Before you become aware of choosing something, your brain has already started preparing that action. Neural signals linked to decision-making appear measurable moments before you consciously feel intention. This activity, often called the readiness potential, happens silently, beneath awareness. By the time you decide, the process is already in motion. Your conscious mind doesn't initiate the choice. It arrives after the fact and takes credit. This creates the illusion of control. But in many cases, what you experience is not decision-making, it's interpretation. Even more revealing, when people are manipulated into making choices they didn't intend, they still confidently explain those decisions afterward. The brain constructs a narrative that feels logical and deliberate, even if the original cause was hidden or external. It doesn't just make decisions, it justifies them. The sequence is reversed from what it feels like. First comes the outcome, then comes the explanation. And because that explanation is consistent with your identity and beliefs, it feels true. Memory feels like replaying a recording, but there is no recording. Every time you remember something, your brain rebuilds it from scattered pieces, visual fragments, emotional traces, contextual clues stored across different regions. This reconstruction process is not exact. It's flexible. And during that flexibility, change happens. When a memory is recalled, it temporarily becomes unstable. Before it is stored again, new information can blend into it. Details can shift, emotions can intensify or fade. Entire elements can be added or removed without detection. This process is known as reconsolidation. It allows your brain to update memories but also distort them. Over time, repeated recall doesn't strengthen accuracy. It strengthens familiarity, and familiarity feels like truth. This is how false memories form. With enough suggestion or repetition, events that never happened can feel just as real as those that did. Your brain prioritizes coherence. It wants your past to make sense in the present. So it reshapes memories to align with your current understanding, beliefs, and emotions. What you remember is not a fixed archive. It's a living structure, constantly edited to maintain consistency. Every second, your senses collect an overwhelming amount of information. Almost none of it survives. Your brain filters aggressively, allowing only a small fraction of data to reach conscious awareness. From that fraction, even less is stored as memory. What remains is not a full record of your experience. It's a compressed summary, a highlight reel shaped by attention, emotion, and relevance. Moments that are repetitive, predictable, or emotionally neutral are often discarded immediately. They don't pass the threshold for importance. This is why entire parts of your day can disappear without a trace. You may have walked through familiar places, heard conversations, or seen objects clearly, but if they didn't stand out, they were never fully registered. Attention acts like a spotlight. Where it focuses becomes your reality. Everything outside of it fades into absence. This also explains why obvious changes can go unnoticed. When your focus is locked onto one task, other events, even significant ones, can occur without entering awareness at all. Your experience feels continuous, but in reality, it is heavily fragmented. Most of what happens never becomes part of your story. It is filtered out, silently and permanently. Your brain does not passively receive reality. It actively predicts it. Before a sound reaches your ears or a movement completes in front of you, your brain generates an expectation of what is about to happen. This prediction is based on past experience, patterns, and context. Incoming sensory data is then compared against that expectation. If the prediction matches, everything feels smooth and natural. If it doesn't, the difference becomes noticeable. This predictive system is so dominant that it shapes perception itself. What you expect to see or hear directly influences what you actually experience. A neutral expression can seem threatening if you anticipate hostility. A low-quality object can feel premium if you believe it has value. Pain can intensify or decrease depending on expectation. Your brain is not just interpreting signals. It is constantly guessing ahead and correcting itself when necessary. This allows for speed and efficiency. But it also introduces distortion. You are not experiencing reality in real time. You are experiencing a prediction that is continuously updated. The world feels stable because your brain is always one step ahead, quietly adjusting when it's wrong. There is no single, fixed version of you. Your brain adapts constantly. In different environments, around different people, your behavior shifts often without conscious awareness. Your tone of voice, posture, language, and even opinions can change depending on context. This is not inconsistency, it's optimization. Neural systems evaluate social dynamics in real-time, status, familiarity, group norms, and adjust your responses to fit. You begin to mirror speech patterns, expressions, and gestures automatically. This process strengthens social connection. It also increases conformity. Even when a group is clearly incorrect, your brain may push you to align with it. The priority is not accuracy, it's belonging. Each version of you feels authentic in the moment. Because within that context, it is, but when the environment changes, so does the configuration. What you consider your personality is not a fixed core. It's a dynamic system constantly recalibrating to match external conditions. You are not switching masks. Your brain is selecting the most adaptive version of you for that specific situation. Sometimes your body reacts before your mind can explain it. A sudden tension, a shift in breathing, a sense that something isn't right. This response begins deep in your brain, in a structure designed to detect potential threats quickly and efficiently. It doesn't wait for full information. It works with fragments, a tone of voice, a subtle movement, a facial expression. If something loosely resembles danger, the response activates immediately. Your heart rate changes. Your muscles prepare. Your attention sharpens. All before you consciously recognize what's happening. Only afterward does your mind begin searching for a reason. It builds an explanation to match the reaction. This sequence is reversed from what it feels like. You think you perceive, then react. In reality, your brain reacts first, then constructs perception around it. This system prioritizes speed over precision. It is designed to protect you, not to be perfectly accurate. And because the explanation comes after the reaction, it often feels justified, even when the original trigger was vague or incorrect. Your brain is highly specialized for one task: recognizing faces. This ability is so important that it operates with extreme sensitivity. Even minimal visual patterns, 2 points and a line, can trigger the perception of a face. This tendency is not a flaw. It's a trade-off. Missing a real face could have consequences. Seeing one that isn't there usually doesn't, so your brain leans toward detection. Objects, shadows, and random patterns can suddenly appear human. A shape in the dark, a reflection, a cluster of features that briefly align. Once the pattern crosses a certain threshold, your brain commits. It locks onto the interpretation, and for a moment, it feels completely real, even when the input is meaningless. This rapid recognition system is designed for speed, not verification. It prioritizes immediate identification over careful analysis. By the time you question what you saw, the perception has already formed, and the impression lingers. Your brain would rather be wrong quickly than risk being slow when it matters. Time does not pass the same way for your brain in every situation. It stretches, it compresses, it shifts. During intense or unfamiliar experiences, your brain records more detail. More information is processed, more moments are captured. Later, when you recall it, that density makes the experience feel longer. In contrast, during routine or repetitive situations, fewer details are stored. The experience becomes compressed in memory. Looking back, it feels shorter. This is why new experiences seem to last longer, and familiar routines seem to disappear quickly. Your brain is not measuring time objectively. It is constructing it based on attention and memory. The more detail you process, the longer it feels. The less you notice, the faster it seems to pass. The clock remains constant, but your perception of time is flexible. It adapts to how much of the experience your brain chooses to keep. Under extreme pressure, your brain changes how it processes reality. It narrows focus. It reduces input. It prioritizes survival. Peripheral awareness fades. Sounds can become distant or disappear entirely. Your attention locks onto what seems immediately relevant. This is not a failure of perception. It is selective suppression. Resources are redirected toward essential functions. Anything considered non-critical is filtered out. In some cases, perception itself becomes muted. The environment can feel distant, slowed, or disconnected. This allows you to function under intense conditions. But it comes at a cost. Your experience becomes incomplete. Large portions of reality are temporarily removed from awareness. What remains is a simplified version optimized for action, not accuracy. Your brain decides what matters in that moment, and everything else is pushed aside. What feels like a stable, accurate experience of reality is anything but. At every moment, your brain is editing, filtering, predicting, and reconstructing the world around you. It fills gaps you can't see. It makes decisions before you're aware. It reshapes memories, removes information, and adjusts perception based on expectation. All of it happens quietly, automatically, and almost entirely outside of awareness. The result is a version of reality that feels seamless and continuous, even though it is constantly being modified. You don't experience the world as it is, you experience the version your brain builds for you. And once you start to notice that, it becomes harder to see perception as passive, because behind everything you experience, there is a system deciding what stays, what changes, and what never reaches you at all.